So in this video, we take and look at the concept of an ellipse. Now an ellipse is such that if we take the distance from a focus to the point, then to the other focus, that distance will be the same no matter what if I add those two distances together. So that distance in blue is the same as this distance in green. So the path from the focus to the curve to the other focus, that total distance remains the same throughout all of the points on this black curve. We are going to take a look at two equations. One is going to yield a horizontal major axis. The major axis is the axis that our foci and vertices are on. And then we're also going to look at a vertical major axis. So if we look at the equation, x squared over a squared plus y squared over b squared equals 1, then it's going to have a horizontal major axis because a is bigger than b. Basically what we're looking at is if we look at the denominators of each of these, that tells us how far to go in the x direction and y direction, respectively. So we will go to the left, a units, and to the right, a units. We'll go vertically, b units up and b units down for this ellipse. If we have this setup, we'll go b units left, b units right because it's under the x, and a units up and a units down on the vertical axis. So how do we find the foci? The foci are going to be a distance c away from the center. So c is found by taking a squared minus b squared. Let's take a look at an example. So here in example 1, we have x squared over 9 plus y squared over 16 equals 1. So this tells us that we have a center of 0, 0. We will only be looking at ellipses that are centered at 0, 0. Now for this, it's easiest to go, okay, this is x squared over 3 squared plus y squared over 4 squared equals 1. So in the x direction, in other words left and right, we're going to move 3 units left and right. And then we're going to move 4 units up and down in the y direction then. Now if you're freehanding this, what I would suggest is drawing a rectangle. Now your ellipse fits in this rectangle. Now, your vertices are found on the longer axis. So we're going longer up and down instead of left and right. So our vertices are 0, 4 and 0, negative 4. So 0, 4, 0, negative 4. So we have our center, we have our vertices. Now we have to find our foci. So c squared is going to equal a squared minus b squared. So a squared and b squared are these values. So we just take larger minus smaller. So c squared equals 16 minus 9. So c squared is going to equal 7. So c equals plus or minus square root of 7. But notice c is a distance to the foci, so it's going to be the square root of 7. So the foci are square root of 7 away from the center and they're on the major axis. So our major axis is vertical, so the square root of 7 is about 2.6. So we're going to sit at 0, negative square root of 7, 0, square root of 7. Now let's look at another example. Here we have 16x squared plus 25y squared equals 400. To look at the equation of an ellipse, we want the right-hand side to be 1. So let's divide everything by 400. So this gives us x squared over 25 plus y squared over 16 equals 1. So the center is 0, 0. And then from 0, 0, we're going to go 5 units left and right. We're going to go 4 units up and down because 5 squared is 25 and 4 squared is 16. So left and right, 5 units, and up and down, 4 units. So let's draw our box. So our points are these 4 points. And now we've gone further left and right than we have up and down, so our major axis is horizontal. So our vertices are negative 5, 0 and 5, 0, not the 0, 4 and the 0, negative 4. Now let's find our foci. But for the foci, we need to find c. So c squared equals a squared minus b squared. So again, we go up to the denominators. So we're going to take larger minus smaller. And so c squared is going to be 25 minus 16, which is 9. So c equals plus or minus 3, but that just means that c is 3 because c is a distance. And so to the left and right, from our center, we're going to go 3 units. So our foci are going to be negative 3, 0 and 3, 0. Now let's take a look at an example where a description is given and we have to find the equation. So to help us out here, I would do a quick sketch still. So our center is at 0, 0. We have a focus at 4, 0. And then we have a vertex at 7, 0. So this means that our ellipse is going to be oriented so that the major axis is horizontal. So this means that we have x squared over something plus y squared over something. That's going to equal 1. Well, the distance away from the center to our vertex is 7. Now that's in the x direction, so that tells us that our denominator under x is 7 squared. Now what about the denominator for y squared? Well, the distance from our center to 4, our focus, is 4, that's c, and the distance to 7, our vertex, that's a. So we know c squared equals a squared minus b squared will be c squared, well that's 16, equals 49 minus b squared. This means that b squared is going to be 33. Now, under y squared, that's our b squared. I don't have to state what b is. I can just leave it as b squared. So this means that our equation of our ellipse is x squared over 49 plus y squared over 33 equals 1.